There we go. Hello and welcome to a Blender tutorial. Obviously, since we're in Blender. Today I'm going to be showing you how to do water. It's pretty fun. I just learned how to do it. So first thing I'm going to do is delete this lamp. So first things first, we have to make the. I just realized screencast keys isn't on. Okay. Well, first things we have to do is make the domain for the water. So how you do that is you'll take the cube, we'll size it up, hit 8, and you hit enter. So now it's the size of the plane. We'll just hold blue arrow, hit 8 again, and now the plane is at the bottom. Hit Z to go into wireframe, just because I like being able to see through it. But now we get into making this the domain. So you come over here, you click on this, click fluid. You want the type to be the domain right here. And don't worry about any of this yet. Now we'll be getting to the part that makes the water. So hit Shift A and we'll input an icosphere. And I accidentally clicked over there, so it's going to be coming in over there now. I like to line it up pretty close to the center and offset a little bit. So now we have that in our domain. That's the big part. The domain is the only area where the water can happen in. So we'll make this fluid, and then we'll make it an inflow, and that is what allows the water to come out of this sphere. So now water will basically be falling straight down out of the sphere. So then we'll add something to catch it in. So we'll slide this over, and I guess we could just make like a really simple cup, and we'll size this up by 2, and size it up by 3. Well, never mind. Shift A, add a cube, make a cup for it. So line it up. We can make a little, yeah, we can make a bowl. So we'll size the X up by 3, size the Y up by 3. Can move it downwards a little bit. We'll make this just a little bit bigger. There we go. Now we are going to have to work in this in edit mode to make like a little cup like area. So go into face select and just hit E to extrude here, and then hit escape, and then S to size it down to about there. You want some pretty thin walls. Then you hit E again to extrude and hit escape. Then grab this blue arrow and slide it right on down. You'll make a hollow box-like thing to hold your water. And I like to get my walls pretty close. So that is what will catch our water. So now we want to make this in fluid, we want to make it an obstacle so the water will actually interact with it. And then don't mess with any of these settings. So now, if we have our water, an easier way to show this to you is we'll bake it. And what baking does is basically simulates the water and how it's going to work. So this domain, this square box, will basically turn it into the water, and then it will simulate how everything interacts inside of this box. The resolution is how good your water will look Your preview resolution is obviously what you're going to be seeing, and it'll be lower. So if you want to change that to make it look better, you want to go to final, but we don't really need to do that. So if we bake it how it is, we'll just let it do that real fast. You can see the progress up here. I'll be back when this is finished. Okay, it's almost done, and it's finished. So, like I said before, I just abruptly cut out. If we bake it how it is, it'll show the water through the frames, how the water is going to work. And right now, the water is just hitting right here and not really doing much. And that's not really what we want. So we're going to go all the way back since I decided to just do that. And we are going to mess with, where is it? This right here, our inflow. And we want to make it shoot forwards into our little catcher that we have here. And the way we can make sure that we get in the right direction is this green arrow right here. Corresponds down here with the y-axis, which means we have to make the y a positive number so it can go forward. So I think we'll do 1. And then we can rebake it just to see how it works and see how it looks. So now we'll have water shooting forwards, but that's a little too far. See how it's spilling over quite a bit. So we'll stop this and we'll move down the velocity to something like 0.7, and we'll try baking it again. Okay, let's see how this looks. That's hitting more of the center. I like it. Okay, so we can stop that since that's not going to be how we're going to keep it, of course. But now we can work on the material for our little bowl that we have here. So you go over here to the material. We want to add new. And also, I'm really sorry for not saying this before, but we want to be in the cycles render. So you go up here and you just change it to cycles. And then you want to click use nodes over here. And then you want the surface to be a glass and the color to be 100% all the way up white. So you want all of this to be 1. And that should make a pretty nice glass color. I'll show you in a second. What we're going to do next, though, is the world lighting. Since we deleted that lamp in the beginning of the video, we're going to have to make some world lighting. So if you go over here and you click on the World tab, and you click on Surface, Use Nodes, you change this color all the way up to white, and then we can change this to about, let's see, 0.5. That should be good. And then if you hit Shift and Z, it can show you a rendered version of everything. And I think 0.5 is a little strong, so we'll do 0.3 and we'll see how that looks. That's not bad. We can make our box right here look a little bit better and easier to see if we go over here and go to volume and we change this to volume absorption, and then we make this color, let's make it a little bit more of a gray. And now you can see the glass a bit easier because it's darker. And what volume absorption does is it will take on this color that you have put in here, and it'll basically just show your material as that color. So you can have multiple things in there, and now the glass, you won't have to change the glass color. Also, make sure your roughness is at 0 so it's as clear as it can be. Mine defaulted to that. And now we can I guess we can place our camera. So we'll hit N and we'll scroll up here and we'll lock the camera to view so we can move with the camera, and we can stage it a little. Just zoom out up here a little bit. I just realized I placed this up pretty far. Oh well. So now if we hit 0 again, we can come out of the camera. That should work. Let's work on the material for this right here, the icosphere that is producing our water. We want this to be transparent. So I'll obviously name it transparent. And our surface will be transparent. And you want this to be all the way up again, and that will make it 100% invisible. So the sphere is the icosphere is no longer there. Obviously you can't see it that well, but now we can work on the material for our water. So use nodes once again, and then you're going to want a glass color or material, and then volume absorption once again. And then the volume absorption color, you can make it a light blue, like about here. We'll move this all the way up. And then you can preview what your water will look like right up here. So now let's say we want to add a little, I don't know, let's say we want to add an obstacle for our water. So we can slide this plane over. We'll make something for the water to bounce off of. Okay. Never mind that plane idea. Don't listen to anything I ever say again. No, I'm joking. We're going to be doing an icosphere instead. I tested the plane. It doesn't work. Probably just going to cut it out of the video. So we're going to go with a sphere. We're going to go with the smoother version of the sphere. So that is the UV sphere. The icosphere is what's making our water. The UV sphere we will use as an obstacle. And it should be in line. There we go. Yeah, to bounce off of it. So I've decided we'll move this down a little bit. And we will bake one more time. And we'll see. There we go. See, now it is, we have to just adjust a little bit, and it should be bouncing off of the sphere we made, which is just something fun to do, and just have it go over the sphere. Don't worry about the liquid going through right here, because it won't be like that during the final. That's just because our resolution is so low. We'll stop the bake though, and we will back up because I can't see anything with the water everywhere. We'll click on this and we will choose that glass material, which we should have named glass. And we'll hit 0 to go into our camera, and we'll move this around a little bit. And then also when you go over here to this rendering area, you want to click border. So it only renders anything inside of the camera border. So you don't have to be stuck with the extra rendering around the edges a little bit. And then since this is going to be an animation, we want to make this an AVI JPEG, and we want to change where this is. And yes, my desktop and my computer is very cluttered, but that's fine. I'll change this up to 75%. You don't have to worry about that. I'll make the quality 100. This will have to be changed for your computers because I'm doing this at home and my computer is far superior to the school computers. We will now finish baking at a higher resolution. So I'm going to go with 180, and I'm going to go with one simulation thread, and nah, we don't need fluid particles. We'll do that a different time. And then I'll bake, and I'll be back after that. But while it's baking a little bit, I forgot to tell you, we can go over here for the water, and then we want to turn on auto smooth. And all this does is when the water is finally rendered, it gets rid of some very dark edges around the outside of the water, and it just makes it look better. So I'll be back after this is done baking, because obviously this is going to take a while since the resolution has practically been doubled. But I'll see you guys when the bake is finished. Okay, so the baking has finished, and now just realized the rest of this is probably going to be pretty quiet. Now that the baking is done, we don't have much left to do. I mean, you can go through it and see basically what's going to happen. It does overflow, which means if you just wanted to stop that, you could reduce the amount of frames. I'm just going to keep it at this because why not? I did have to lower this by 10 because for some reason what it was at just wasn't finishing baking for me, and it was just weird. So it definitely has been a while. Now that we are done with this, though, we can go over here to the render. We'll go 75%. I'm using GPU compute because my GPU is better than my CPU. Remember you have to have AVI JPEG, and you want it RGB 100% quality. You can change wherever this is. This is your output, and it'll automatically output it to a file, a video file for you. You could do some post-processing, but that's not really worth it. What was I think that's about it actually. Now all you have to do is render, make sure that this is all in frame again. And if I really wanted to, I could actually move this a little bit and center it a bit more. Just because we'll add oh, this is what I was gonna do. I forgot to add we still need to add a sun. And we'll move it over here. Make sure you add the sun. You hit R twice, and then so you can point it away from the camera. And then when you go over here, we'll hit Shift Z, and that goes into rendered mode. And because we have border on, it's only rendering what's inside of the camera. The sun, we want the strength. Bring it down a little bit. This doesn't need to be that bright. There we go. Oh, that's what I meant to do. There we go. 0.8 should be fine. We'll skip to like right about here-ish, and you'll see the water. Now, when you go over here to rendering, you go to sampling. Now, normally I leave it how it is. Okay, so we'll turn this up to like 200. I'll preview at 200 as well. We'll see how well this looks. That's not bad. We will go to, I think we'll go 170 for just this same amount. I don't know why, but just the same amount. But the higher that this is, the higher the render is, the more times it will basically look at one part of the frame, one tile. And the more times it'll look at it, the more times it'll compute, the better it'll look. So motion blur is something you can add. if you wanted to like focus right here or like around this general area. I just happen to like not having it on there. I just think it looks better to me. But all we have to do now is actually render it. So you come over here, click render animation. You can scroll out a little bit. Now it'll slowly render each and every individual bit. I only have one little square moving around on here, but that is because I'm using GPU compute and not CPU. If I was using CPU, I'd have 8 moving around, but it would not actually be loading as fast as this one square would. So it would actually take a longer time to do with my CPU, and I would not be able to use my CPU while doing it. But this is about it. I'll come back when this is finished, and I'll show you the final product. And this will probably take a couple hours. So it'll probably be tomorrow for me and like a second for you guys. So I'll see you then.